Rukus Avenue Radio. Rukus Avenue Radio.
Namaste and hello, Rukus Avenue Radio listeners. This is your correspondent, Priyadarshini G. Roy. We are live at the Dash Studio on Hollywood Boulevard to celebrate Api Month for our month-long programming. Today, we have a very, very special guest. She is a former Miss India, actor, activist, Manasvi Mamgai, known as Manasvi. Nice to see you, Manasvi, after all these months, and it's always great to reconnect.
Thank you, and I keep seeing you looking beautiful at events, and we always connect, and I'm happy that we're doing this.
Yeah, likewise, you're such, I think, like attracts like, and beautiful souls attract to each other.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, guys, we are going to start off our Api Month programming where we celebrate and recognize the strides that the Asian American Pacific Islander community has had. So Manasvi Mamgai is an Indian actress, model, and former Miss India. She started her career by winning the Elite Model Look Contest and the Miss Tourism International Pageant. She also represented India at the Miss World pageant. After her successful stint in the pageant world, Manasvi pursued a career in modeling, theater, and acting. She made her acting debut with the Bollywood film Action Jackson in 2014, was opposite Ajay Devgan. Her new show, the Indian adaptation of the show The Good Wife starring Kajol, will be airing in June on Disney Hotstar in India and Hulu worldwide. In addition to her acting career, Manasvi has also been involved in social work. She has worked with various non-governmental organizations and has been actively involved in promoting education and women's empowerment. She continues to pursue her career in entertainment and Hollywood and breaking more barriers. Manasvi, what an amazing accomplishment journey that you have had.
That was the most beautiful introduction I've ever had. in the most beautiful radio voice.
Oh, thank you. No, you've accomplished a lot. It's just me speaking towards your life's purpose and everything that you have done thus far. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us your childhood and what led you to this journey.
I grew up dancing like most Indian people, but I was on stage at age 5. So I was competing in school competitions, state competitions. I even did National Youth Festival. So I was a trained dancer, and stage has always fascinated me. It kind of makes me feel alive dancing on stage. And that's how this whole thing started. Modeling was actually never in the picture. I had never, I grew up in a small town in India. I never thought that I'd be a model or acting or anything of that sort. I just grew up dancing. And then I was just spotted by elite models, very young for India at that time when I was 17. Mm-hmm. So I was spotted by them, and I had a great run. There's one incident that I always tell people. It's really funny and endearing. So I was just 17. I signed up with Elite Models, and there was auditions for Fashion Week that were happening. And they just sent me because they were just go for experience, right? I had no photos. I had nothing. I'd never walked on the ramp, and they just sent me on the ramp. And you have a form that you fill in your photos and your bio. So my bio was everything was empty because I'd never done a show. I'd never had pictures. Mm-hmm. For my pictures, I put my passport photos.
Yeah, the only photo shoot probably.
Only thing I ever had. And I got in.
Wow.
Yeah, I got in straight into Fashion Week, never looked back. Always, sometimes in life, yes, you work hard, but there's something called grace. Right?
Yeah,
that you have grace, and it just things happen. Modeling happened. I was very successful in that. Miss India happened, and I went back to my love for stage performance. So I did theater. We did a couple of plays in the Prithvi Theater in Mumbai.
Yes,
and that was actually my passion. I love it. I don't know. I've been looking for some stuff here too in theater, but I feel LA's theater is not that developed
as compared to New York, for example.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But stage is my ultimate love. So yeah, that happened. Theater happened. Movies happened, and it was just great. I was just doing things that made me feel alive, gave me joy, and things fell into place.
That's awesome. I felt like luck and destiny kind of met hand in hand along with your hard work.
Yeah.
So you talked about dance. What kind of dance did you do growing up?
Classical, Bharatanatyam.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I knew we had some other connections
Yes.
other than pageantry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up doing Bharatanatyam too,
Yeah.
and then I did my Arangetram, and
Yes.
that's a grueling process.
Yes,
So
yes.
was your love for storytelling, you said, began with dance. So what about Bharatanatyam still evokes you today?
I don't do dancing as much, although I do. I mean, people ask me, what do you regret in life? And I feel that's something that I regret. I didn't pursue dancing. And it was, sometimes you're born with like a natural talent. It was my talent. And I feel at that time in India, there weren't as many opportunities to be a dancer.
Okay.
Or
You
at
mean
least
professionally?
professionally, or maybe that's what me and my family thought. Maybe I should have pursued it. Maybe I would have found an opportunity, but like at that time I didn't. So I didn't pursue it. But like I kind of want to go back. Maybe we should start again.
We should.
Why don't we start a TikTok channel with Bharatanatyam?
I'm totally
That's
down.
it. This is the start of like TikTok.
Something new. The Miss India is doing from beauty
Miss India.
pageants to Bharatanatyam. We got a title.
Okay, watch out for that.
Yes. So Bharatanatyam became a love of yours. Is that what you ended up doing for the talent round for Miss India?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
did that. I did like a mix of contemporary and Bharatanatyam together. So that was what I did for all my actually international pageants. I actually won the talent round for like an international pageant called Miss Tourism. And then in the Miss World, when I went there, my dance actually opened the main show. So they select like 8 dances from like 120 like contestants. They select 8 of the best dancers. And that actually opens the official Miss World show. So they selected my dance. It was from Sanjay Leela Bhansali's movie.
Okay, which film?
Kahe Cher Cher Mohe. That song.
Okay.
So they actually saw it like in my Miss World contest.
From Devdas for all the listeners listening. Yeah.
I still have it. It's somewhere on the internet. I know. Okay. But yeah, I opened the Miss World show. So they were, it's very precious to me. I kind of want to go back to it.
To dance.
To dancing.
Bring
Because
those
like it
roots.
just makes you feel alive, right? The stage and like
Absolutely.
dancing.
The music, and I think like the art of storytelling that specifically Bharatanatyam has, being a centuries old dance form and the oldest Indian classical dance form that has ever existed, from temple dances to how it's kind of amalgamated into different changes and hip hop fusion and stuff like that.
There's something else I want to add to that. Like Indian culture has been so rich in arts and acting too.
Yeah.
Like I did a theater residency in Pondicherry, Adi Shakti, and like there, everything it's based on Natya Shastra, and then everything there is based on breath. Like your emotions are based on breath. And I did that maybe 10 years ago. And now when I see like Western acting and acting schools, they're kind of catching up on that philosophy because like your breathing creates every expression and emotions in the body. So like it's funny now, like everything that I grew up not following, because when you're in the culture you're kind of like, this is not cool, right? So yoga, turmeric, it's not turmeric, it's turmeric.
There's an R in there.
There's an R in there. So like turmeric, yoga, chai, like everything.
Rose water.
Yes, all
Nimbu pani.
Yeah, all our Indian like things. Like they used to say you wake up in the morning and you go out in the sun and
Surya Namaskar.
Yeah, all of that is happening in the Western culture, in addition to the Natya Shastra and the acting techniques and the breathing techniques. So like it's kind of like interesting that all of that is coming here now, and the world's recognizing the value of Indian culture.
I think to add on to that, and on top of the West catching up to the East on our ancient traditions that have been scientifically proven and actually been adapted into daily life, I feel like we've already learned to accept ourselves. So now looking back, I feel like a lot of the NRI population, we grew up learning classical traditional Indian dance. We didn't first go towards Bollywood. Our foundational dance or foundation, anything artistic, whether that is music, we learned from classical music or classical dance. That was our root and our base, because that's what our parents wanted us to hold on to, being immigrant families. And while we are trying to hold on to that culture because we feel like it's dwindling, sadly, what I see in India now is that a lot of the children are going towards more Western dances first, whether that is jazz, ballet, and those are wonderful dance forms, and I'm not against anything at all. But we should be proud of where we come from and what our roots are. So whatever classical dance you can hold on to, whether that is Odissi, Kuchipudi, or Bharatanatyam, or anything at all, hold on to that, because that's what sets you apart. Like it set you apart in this world, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, this was not, we didn't decide this, but like, it's beautiful, this conversation.
That's how my show usually goes. We don't decide anything. We go with the flow.
It's like one day I was feeling really sad because I come from Uttarakhand.
Okay.
My family's from there. I grew up in Chandigarh, so I actually recognize.
But you were born in Delhi, right?
I was born in Delhi.
Okay.
I grew up in Chandigarh, but my parents are from Uttarakhand. So like, there's a lot of cultures, right? But like the culture that I identify the most with is Punjabi culture because I grew up in that culture. So the food, the dancing, I still love Punjabi music. Oh my God. Punjabi music is my jam. Like watching the Jeet Dosanjh perform in Coachella was like everything. Again, off track. So
that's okay.
I saw my mom one day. So my mom has this beautiful Kumaoni, like the hills culture and like festivals and dishes and cooking and all these things. And one day I was really sad and I was like, Mom, it's going to be lost after you because I haven't, like I know some of them, but I don't know most of them.
Yeah.
And then she's in India and I'm here and I don't like follow those traditions, but she calls me every time there's a festival and it's a very kind of local festival. It's not a national festival.
Right.
Sometimes I feel sad that
It's the Pahadi culture.
The Pahadi culture, right? Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to lose it. And I felt really sad one day. But that's interesting that you're saying that people here are actually holding on to them and you guys are like, that's beautiful to hear.
I always find it, speaking to add on to that, when you're saying holding on to our culture, whether that is through art or whether that is through wardrobe, we hold on to Indian clothes so direly. We love to wear our saris and langas and salwar kameez and put on a bindi. And when I go to India, I see ladies like, main to sari nahi pehndi, like I don't wear saris, and that's like considered cool. And I'm like, that is so sad because the West has also caught on to the fashion statements of saris. You see Gigi Hadid adorning a sari or Zendaya wearing saris. So it's like our culture is so rich. Yes. Whether in whatever forms that we choose to take on that in the fashion world with your modeling or whatever way we represent that, it's something that is really close to my heart. And I would like and encourage other future generations to hold on to your language, hold on to your culture, because the West is trying to learn that. And that's something that we can contribute and make amalgamated society.
Yeah. Hey, I wore a sari to the Golden Globes.
That's amazing.
Yes, I did it.
Absolutely. I see Deepika always wearing saris. She wore a sari to the Met Gala yesterday. And so did Isha Ambani. So it's really good to see people representing our culture on a global scale, which you have done so beautifully. And now going back to your journey, as we talk about the arts and dancing and fashion and all that. So what actually inspired you to go towards Miss India specifically? I know you did the modeling and elite management pick you up and you won a bunch of different titles, but what about pageantry really spoke to you?
Again, it wasn't something that I decided, but like in India, it's very common for people who want to enter entertainment
as outsiders from the industry.
It's kind of like has been till that time was that kind of route to take. So I kind of did that, and then also, synergies happened, right? They saw me, they invited me. I went through the auditioning, and I was like, hey, what's the worst that could happen? It's one of those things that I did, and I won. So it was kind of that stepping stone towards building a career in the acting world. And like, I'm a performing artist. Like I love performing, but also like I love the form of storytelling. Like I was a very, I used to read a lot when I was a kid. And I don't have time now, but like that also was one of the things, like I'm very imaginative and like I'm always like, even when I was here in the morning, I was like, let's do this. I have like so many ideas.
Creative ideas.
So I feel like that also nurtures that side of me. Like just, creating stuff, storytelling.
Collaborating.
Yes. So I think that was also that wanted me, that's why I also wanted to go towards acting, entertainment, and I kind of saw that as a stepping stone. And it was beautiful as an experience.
All right, so I'm gonna throw some quick rapid fire questions.
Okay.
What do you think is the most important part of pageantry? Is it the best smile? Is
Confidence.
it the talent round? What do you think is the most important? Confidence.
Confidence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, just believing in yourself. And that's interesting that was my final answer too.
Good. And what is the most telling round? Is it the bikini, the evening walk, the question answer, or talent?
Question answers for sure. Also because they put you on the spot and you're on the stage and there's so many people watching and it's the stakes are so high. So to be able
pressure.
To be able to think in that situation, that's the most challenging part for sure.
I would agree to that. I think during my tenure as Miss India, Southern California, and Miss India USA, I think the most telling round is the same answer as you, is the question answer round.
Yeah.
I won Miss Talent as well for my pageant, and I feel like you can have the best evening walk, you can look the best in a bikini, but if you get that mic and you have nothing to say, nothing else you do matters. So, go ahead.
I have a question for you. What was your final question and answer? Then I'll tell you mine.
Okay, sure. So the final one, which was with the top 5, was what is the epitome of the Indian American woman?
Ooh.
And I think that, like you said, you can't rehearse these questions. There's no amount of preparation other than life that can prepare you for that moment. You either know yourself or you don't. And I think that's the biggest thing. So my answer was the epitome of an Indian American woman is not someone who has to choose between a profession and a personal life, but is able to balance them both.
I love that so much. You can really have it all.
There's nothing wrong with cooking, cleaning, and not gender specific at all, but there's there's nothing wrong with you being able to have children, having a career, balancing your education, taking care of your parents or in-laws or what have you. There is striking a balance which is individualistic to each person and their goals.
Absolutely. I feel like you can do it. It's possible. It's just up to the person.
Society may tell you no. Like, for example, we just have this new definition of hybrid or remote jobs when women have been asking for how many decades? And we've had to make those choices. We've had to choose. Our parents, our mothers, as you gave an example, they had to choose between family, between marriage, between education, between family, between a career. And we are in that privileged spot where we can go on a stage because we have that support from our family and be like, we have that privilege, of not choosing and being able to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Okay, now your turn. What was your question answer?
Mine was so Miss India works, at least at that time it worked in a way where they put you in kind of a boot camp for 40 days. Mine was 40 days. You don't have cell phones. Okay, by the way, at that time I didn't have any cell phones for 40 days. You get them once in a day to talk to your family. So you're kind of away from like civilization. You're in a hotel with like 25, 30 other contestants.
Strangers.
For 40 days, right? And you're in a beauty contest.
Gosh, just imagine the tension in those rooms.
Yes, and everyone's like 20, 21, 22. So you're very young too. And you don't know how to deal with people situations at that time. So my final question was that what was the most important thing that you learned in these 40 days? And my answer was to believe in myself. Because, one day you're up, one day you're down, one day things seem awful, one day the thing seems great. You win a sub contest, and you're like, yes, I'm in the running. You lose a sub contest, you're like, shit.
So all your dreams go down the drain.
So it's just in those times to be able to be mentally stable and keep believing in yourself and keep putting in the work. I think is what those 40 days taught me.
That's interesting you mentioned that. So our boot camp was a lot less. It was a month. And because we're living in Los Angeles, month is a long time, but it was mostly weekend intensive. So it was like complete weekend because we have to work Monday through Friday. Sorry, we got to pay the bills and we can't just forgo everything. That's just how the lifestyle here is, and you know that. And so it was intensive in that situation. And we had situations where the girls would question each other. So there was camaraderie, but then there was also healthy competition, right? And I think that's really important for women as we talk about API month as Asian American Pacific Islander people of Indian descent, that we talk about how we need to support one another, whether that is through us collaborating and being creative. And just what pageantry I think gets a negative notion in the limelight today because they're like, oh, it's women pivoting against each other. And I have my own views, but I'd like to know, what do you think? They're saying that, hey, the bikini round should be eradicated and women shouldn't be, prancing in gowns. What is your take and what is your suggestion for girls?
I don't understand all of these thoughts. I mean, I think
where do they get these ideas from?
Exactly. Don't have bikinis. Why? If someone's comfortable doing that, right? No one's forcing these girls to be in a bikini. Right? They're doing that because it's choice, right? Kind of then goes back into are we
regressive,
right? I mean, you go out to the beach and there are women in bikinis all the time.
There's men in bikinis.
What? I mean, where are we right now? So I mean, if you're confident, flaunt it. It makes you feel confident, beautiful, do it. I think pageants, I know they have kind of lost their relevance a little bit. I mean, in India, back in the days, like we're talking about like Aishwarya Rai, Priyanka Chopra, right?
Early 2000s.
Yeah,
late
pageants
90s.
were like the
thing.
the
Everybody sat
thing.
down and watched.
Exactly. They were like Indian like Olympics. Or kind of like, I mean,
You want to see who Sparta kicks in?
I mean, it would be like an event, like the event. But also these countries like with a population of 1.3, 1.4 billion people, imagine how many people had to compete to get to that title.
Of course.
We're not talking about like 400 million people. We're talking about 1.4 billion people.
Absolutely.
I think they're a great way. I mean, still, I know they've lost relevance. But in a way, I feel like pageants have just kind of become more about contribution and women's voice.
Yeah.
Even in my time with Miss World, the focus was beauty with a purpose.
Right.
So I think they're kind of revamping and they're going more towards the giving back
Correct.
message. And I think it's great. I feel what I got out of the contest was great confidence, visibility, exposure, just a lot of beautiful things. So, I mean, I have nothing. I mean,
You have no qualms about it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yes, it's when you're in your early 20s, it's a great platform to have a voice and to even shine light on other things that you're doing. And it doesn't mean that everybody in pageants always goes towards entertainment. Some people go in politics, some people go in business, some people, my friends became doctors, and they used that platform and their visibility to support that cause. So I think it's a great way to get visibility and confidence.
I love that.
Yeah, look at you kind of got into hosting, and now you're doing your PhD. So like, I mean, it's amazing. Like, gives you the confidence. Yeah.
Yeah,
so I'm all for it.
I've had certain changes of views since my pageantry. I still love and support them. I think we should always be open to questions of what can we do to improve. For example, what is the importance of a height requirement in a pageant? Is beauty relevant to height?
Yeah.
So there are certain things that we should definitely think about when it comes to bikini. Are we being body inclusive? Are we including, yes, you can wear a bikini and look any which type of way as long as you're confident in what you're wearing. So I think there are certain questions that we can do to broaden the scope of what beauty standards and definitions are as a society and how we can encourage one another.
Yeah.
And I think those are positive steps to be like, okay, this is what we've done. This is how we can change, adapt, evolve, and do better while maintaining the integrity of the platform and giving a voice to whoever would like to share.
And I think that is happening. I feel like, say, Miss India increased their age limit. I don't know if it's happening globally. They decreased the height requirement. I feel they are getting more inclusive just as the world is changing, and people are being accepted. We're changing as a society, and then I see more pageants being more like a space to like voice their opinions, and again,
I'm seeing that too.
Yeah,
I'm seeing that too.
I'm seeing that change.
Yes.
So I feel they are evolving.
Absolutely. So that's the positive direction. Like,
Yes.
I'm still 100% if I have a daughter, if I'm blessed or any female, I would definitely encourage them.
Yeah.
But I would definitely encourage them to know themselves first and foremost,
Yes.
regardless of what field you go into. If you go into the armed forces, you go into the medical field, pageantry, entertainment, it's really important to do the hard work and understand who you are and what your platform is.
Yeah.
So that I always say that everyone wants a mic, but when they get it,
Yeah.
they have nothing to say.
Yeah.
So it's important to know where you
What
can
you
speak
want.
on behalf of not just yourself, but for others.
Yes.
And you have done so much great philanthropical work that we will get into later on. But from your pageantry years, your journey continued on into your acting debut in Action Jackson with Ajay Devgan. So tell us, how did you get that role? What led you? I know you always talked about stage and wanting to act, and you did Prithvi Theater.
Yeah.
So now transitioning from theater to behind the camera in a film, the premises are very different, although it's still acting. So how did you land that role, and how did that all start for you?
So I have always been different with choosing characters. I honestly love gritty characters. I like gritty, kind of gray characters, because that gives you so much to explore.
More scope.
To explore me as myself, to explore art. So I've always liked that. And I was auditioning and I found this role. I don't know if you've seen the role. It didn't turn out.
It was a negative role.
It was a
right?
negative role. I took a chance. Hey, listen, sometimes you take a chance, it works. Sometimes you take a chance, it doesn't work. I took a chance, it didn't work as well, but like that's a character that at that time spoke to me. I wanted to try something different. It was gritty, it was a bad character. So I tried it, and it was a good experience. Didn't work out as well as I thought.
Okay. So what did you learn from that experience and how did you pivot into coming here then?
I mean, it was great in terms of like learning as an actor, being on such a big set. Action Jackson at that time was the most expensive movie of that year.
Yeah.
So like being around these very experienced people, like Prabhudeva has been an icon, right? As a dancer.
Of course.
So to be able to do your first movie with like a dance icon was like a dream come true.
Of course.
And then there was Sonakshi and Ajay Sir, who was wonderful.
Amy Jackson was in that film too, right?
Amy was in the next one with the same team.
Okay.
There was Sonakshi and there was Yami. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of action. I went into actual action training. I was trained. Yeah, I trained in martial arts for that movie. So it was great. Like I got to do these crazy action sequences, and like there's also a scene where I go bald. It was nuts.
Okay.
But you know what? I kind of like that. I kind of like doing something that's so out of the box.
Yeah.
You know, sign me up for it. I'm always like, yeah, I'm always up for it. So it was an amazing experience. And you know, you learn, and sometimes you learn more from failures than you learn from successes, right?
Absolutely.
So you learn how to, now I know what could I have done at that time, or how I could have handled it better, or like what to look out for, what not to look out for. But overall, it was an amazing experience. Like I chose to do that role.
Right. No, I agree. And I think failure teaches us and propels us to the next platform that we're meant to be reaching. So we're going to take a break here, Rukus Avenue Radio listeners, and we will be back in a few.
Rukus Avenue Radio.
All right, Rukus Avenue Radio listeners, we are back here in continuation with our conversation with Manasvi. She was talking about her Bollywood experience and her acting debut as the villain in Action Jackson. Yes. So now can you give us any advice to our listeners who'd like to maybe break into Bollywood? Do they have to go through the casting directors, or what is the scene like?
In today's world, I would really say make your own content.
Okay.
I feel it's not the time to like wait for someone else to cast you.
Yeah.
And this is something that I tell everybody. It's so accessible. Mm-hmm. You know, like you no longer, I mean, yes, I mean, if you get a break, that's awesome. But like meanwhile, while you're not getting the break, everyone can make their own content.
Continue to create.
Yes. Create.
That's like amazing. So you would suggest go on social media, find your talent, and just put it out there.
Just put it out there. It's not hard to like, you know, it's funny, Anurag Kashyap says, if you have an iPhone, you can make a movie.
Absolutely. We did that in film school. That was like our first cinematography classes, make a 1 minute short. Yeah. And the only instructions we got from the teachers, don't hold it straight, hold it wide, horizontal, and these make whatever you want.
I mean, I feel like in today's world, you don't have an excuse. Yeah. Like you can do it. Anybody can do it. If you are passionate about it, you work hard at it, just do it. Just go out and make content.
Great. So now that you have completely moved here to Los Angeles and pivoting your way into Hollywood, what has that experience been like, and how is it different from Mumbai?
You know, I moved here in 2019. Mm-hmm. Not at the best time, because like, you know,
because the pandemic hit shortly thereafter. So everyone's like,
and then speaking of timing, today Writers Guild has gone on a strike. But you know what? It's a great time. I've got to explore myself. And like I said, I'm also going into producing. I'm producing a movie now. And I acted in a show in India last year. So yeah, I'm just exploring myself artistically. Why I moved to Hollywood was, again, in the pursuit of the kind of entertainment and the kind of stuff that I actually want to do. Okay. At that time, I wasn't getting those kind of things. Like I love, so I'm gonna, you know the show Euphoria, Sam Levinson, I kind of really love that kind of like very gritty, edgy kind of style of filmmaking. Ari Aster, like that's my jam. So that's essentially why I was like, I need to look at like, I mean, now I feel like there's some great stuff happening in India too. But at that time I was like, you know what, maybe I want to move west. So I love that kind of cinema. I'm producing a very gritty kidnap movie. It's a decent sized movie with like a good star cast. Ditto Montiel is our director. So yeah, I'm excited about that one.
That's wonderful. I love seeing, like, since we're again focusing on Oppie Month, I love that women producers, I have my own production myself, and I've done commercials and web series and films, and I think women behind the camera are a force to be reckoned with, especially as Indians. You don't see as many Indian women producers. I mean, you did have these Oscar-winning Gunit Monga
Yes.
and a lot of these people coming to light and getting their due finally.
Yes.
And I think that's just inspirational for
Yes.
young women to obviously, yes, pursue your dreams on the camera, but what opportunities are you giving back? And I think as a producer, that's your way of giving back and giving
Yes.
those opportunities to others.
And talking about community, I'm loving connecting with other like women, creative women. I'm loving connecting with other South Asian,
Indian, Pakistani, Sri Lankan, other
South Asian people.
diaspora. Yes.
I'm loving this feeling of community and connecting with these people. I'm going to tell you an anecdote about Gunit. Me and Gunit were in acting school together like 15 years.
Wow.
In a theater residency together. And it was wonderful. I met her, I think we met at the same event.
Yes.
It was wonderful to meet her a week before she won the Oscar. Wow, like what an inspiration. I've seen her journey. So I'm loving this feeling of connecting with the community here, and I want to do that more. Just connect with people. And end of the day, you have to grow together. All of
Absolutely.
us. So I'm like, also, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How
Yeah.
can I help your dream come together? So I'm kind of, and I'm getting a great response too from other
Right.
people. So I'm kind of really
It takes
enjoying
two to tango. It's
Yeah.
like we met each other a year ago at IFA
Yeah.
where I was working, and it was just like a mutual synergy, and it has continued since
Yeah.
then. And it's always like, all right, what can we do next? What can we collaborate on next?
Yes.
And it's a transgression. You just transform with each other. And so now you're talking about giving back to community and kind of, getting the response from the local organizations here. You're really big on philanthropy and giving back to community and advocating for different organizations such as Akshay Patra and other political organizations that you were a part of.
Yeah.
So what led you, was it your pageantry years of Beauty with a Purpose, or what kind of led you to continue that here in the States?
And this is going like, I'm kind of oversharing. I did grow up slightly troubled, at home. And I always had this feeling of wanting to make it better for other people. And pageantry definitely helped me because, Miss World is all about beauty with a purpose. So it did help me right from Miss India when I was like 21, 22. I was always in that. There was a Teach for India movement. There was a bunch of like charities that I was working with, again, with women's and like children. And it kind of continued. And then I was very fortunate that I met Akshay Patra people and they made me their local brand ambassador. And then I'm also working with a couple of other charities. So, I feel I'm gonna quote Tony Robbins here. He always says growth and contribution. Like if you don't think you're growing and if you don't think you're contributing, your life will always be meaningless.
I agree, and I can respond with another quote. If service is beneath you, then greatness is above you.
Ooh, I
So
love that.
it's something that I feel like if you feel that you're too good to serve others,
Yeah.
then you will never become great. You might be good.
Yeah.
You might be damn good at whatever it is that you do, but you can't be great
Yeah.
if you don't learn to give back. And that is so inspirational to see you continue your work as a former Miss India, giving back
Makes
to
my heart
philanthropy.
feel so warm.
Oh, good. I'm happy. And I was like, Manasvi, don't even worry about
Yeah.
this. You've got this. And you're just creating the testimony of your life.
Yeah.
And if you've authentically been doing the work, then it shows.
Yeah.
It does resonate with people, and it creates that inspiration to others to also want to continue to give back. So tell us, what can fans expect from you next? I know you have a web series coming up with Kajol releasing on Hotstar and Hulu in the States here. But what else do they have to look forward to other than your film that you're producing?
For now, the show that's coming out.
What is it called, if we want to look it up?
It's the Indian adaptation of the American show called The Good Wife.
Okay.
Where Kajol plays the title character.
Okay.
I can't tell you more.
Right. But our Manasvi is a part of the cast.
Yes.
and so-
I have a recurring.
Okay.
And she's so wonderful to work with. When you go in and you have such a huge star that you have all your scenes with, I was like, what is she going to be like? What if I stumble? What if
Right.
And she was like with me through the whole thing, and she was like so supportive. And there were times that she was actually giving me cues. She's like, do this, make this like this. And she was, oh my God, she was the most
mentor on
amazing
set.
person I've ever worked with.
Good.
Like really beautiful. So I'm excited about that show. I'm excited about the movie that we're doing. And then also just creating more content, and exploring myself artistically.
That's great. All right, so share your social medias where we can find you online and keep up to date.
Absolutely. I'm on Instagram with Manasvi. So it's just I and Manasvi, my name. And then I have a Facebook page, Manasvi Mamgai. That's all. And maybe we'll have a TikTok.
Yes, maybe we'll do a TikTok from beauty pageants to Bharatanatyam. Manasvi, it was an amazing conversation with you, as it always is informally, but thank you so much for coming on to Rukus Avenue Radio, and we would love for our fans to connect with you and keep in touch, and look forward to all of your wonderful updates and creative projects that you have.
Yeah.
But any last words that you like to convey?
Just thank you. I'm like just very grateful for life, for you guys, for you. And it's just beautiful to explore life and be in LA, in a beautiful, beautiful city, and explore all these opportunities. Just very grateful.
Great. All right, Rukus Avenue Radio listeners. Today, we started off our Api Month programming on my show, The Priyadarshini Show, as your radio correspondent with Manasvi Mamgai, known as Manasvi. And we thank her so much for sharing her story and her continued success. And we wish you all of the best. And that's a wrap for today. Stay tuned for more Api programming only on Rukus Avenue Radio. This is your correspondent, Priyadarshini Roy, signing off. Until next time.
Rukus Avenue Radio. Rukus Avenue Radio.